All right, I am at the jet ski junkyard. All that tall grass you see is full of jet skis. They've let it grow up. I'm getting parts for the 1100 off of this 1100. It's got a locked up engine. They were the same to let's say 296, 2003 or whenever they quit making them. I'm getting that gauge. And I got a decent sending unit out of it. Hopefully that one's gonna work. The floats look good. Had a squirrel living in it at some point. So let's see if I can get this done. I've got two screws here. That gets your cowling up pretty loose. But you gotta get the handlebars off because I gotta get to the back of this and get that gauge out. And there's probably gonna be something under here. I don't know, I've never taken one of those off. So we will see. So some screws, this one was riveted. Had to drill them, get the rubber off, get the foam off. Okay, so the foam has two bolts holding it in on a bracket here and here. Then we've got the four, looks like 10s. Pull all that off. That's next. All right, so trying to figure this out as we go. I'm looking here, even with that on, this appears too big to fit through this hole. See that? But there is a 10mm bolt here. If you lift this right up under here, there's a 10 holding the front part of this. Something is securing the panel. Feels like there's going to be 1, 2 more bolts underneath there that hold this half. So this is actually 2 pieces here. So I'm just learning how to tear that apart because I'm going to have to do it on the yellow one also without tearing anything up. So we'll do our learning curve on this junkyard machine, right? I haven't broken anything except with a styrofoam. Didn't know it had a bracket that held it in place. So let me find some more bolts and I'll get back with you as I do. Oh, and these were 12mm bolt heads on that, and then 10mm there and there and there for this. So let me get to it. All right, I cheated and reefed on this and popped the plastics loose. It didn't break anything, but see how these are, this nut is supposed to be tapped into there, which I guess you could tap it back in with a hammer. Looks like you could get down with an extension and pull those 4 and pop that off. This is gonna be real fun to do it the right way on the one at the house. So 10mm. Let's have some fun. It's the 3 10 bolts holding the bracket. Then the rubber is kind of seated really well and you got to pry it out. So pry out the rubber and the whole instrument cluster comes out. Well, I'm gonna have 2 hands to work this loose and get that gauge. Okay, so the 2 bolts that hold this part are in the glove box underneath that piece of rubber in the bottom. 2 bolts, then this lifts up. Okay, so to remove the gauge, you follow the wire, find out which one it is. There's a rubber grommet that they slide in. There's a rubber boot to watertight seal everything. This has a tie wrap on the top and sealant, sealing all the way around. And then you just trace your wire back to your plug and unplug it. It's a little bit of a job, but there it is right there, that gray one. There's a whole bundle of them in this boot that keeps water from splashing down into the hull. So I'm going to disconnect that and I'm going to get this gauge. There you go. New fuel gauge, sending unit, I'm gonna get that tray with those keys and a factory Kawasaki toolkit in it. And that'll be my trip to the junkyard today. I'll go get the clamp that goes on that.